Welcome back to Dialogue 340 here at the Featherleaf Inn. See, I did for it again. We're going to pick it right back up with Donna Frett-Gregory. We just came off of a conversation with her being chair of our finance committee. And now we want to walk into the economic issues that are really affecting Virgin Islands and nobody else except the bear to talk about economics. Go ahead, Darren.
So, finance and economics are basically cousins of the same house, right? And, we could say that the Virgin Islanders are feeling the pain in terms of cost of living. What what economic policies, if elected, would you like to enact that would either reduce the cost or um, basically boost the economy?
So for me, it's all about boosting the economy because we know that whatever is happening on the mainland naturally trickles down to the Virgin Islands. So when I look at across the territory and I look at the island district of St. Thomas, St. John, tourism is that's our base. That's the base in the territory overall. And I've been giving this a lot of thought. And I really look at the District of St. Croix as a sleeping giant when it comes to the economy. And, I don't know if you guys are too young to remember this, but there was a time when light manufacturing was very
Yes.
huge in the St. Croix district. As a matter of fact, it was the bread and butter. And as a result of that, the industrial park was built. And right now, our industrial park is being used for government offices. When I become governor, most definitely, we are going to require our Economic Development Authority to get on the road to bring back light manufacturing. We know that right now, our current administration on the national level, the President of the United States is very focused on Made in America. This is a unique opportunity for the U.S. Virgin Islands, particularly the island district of St. Croix. Its economy to be boosted with light manufacturing. And then I also think about the free trade zone, the South Shore zone, again, in the St. Croix district. It's time for us to develop the South Shore zone. And people would ask, so how are we going to get that done? We've had some missed opportunities, but the best time is now. You can't look back at your missed opportunities. You look forward. So engaging in public-private partnership, we need to build out the warehouses on the South Shore zone to ensure that we are able to attract businesses here to boost our economy, to once again have the District of St. Croix being a bustling economy. And that means that we will be creating jobs for this economy. So that is so critical and important for us to lift up our community. We know that all of our revenues go into one pot and is one Virgin Islands. So whatever district benefits from the jobs and is able to, we are able to improve in the economy on St. Croix, then all of us would benefit. We are also in a prime location, as we all know, and the South Shore Zone again can be used for a major transshipment hub. That will help to lower our costs of goods coming to the Virgin Islands. We can be a major transshipment hub for the Caribbean overall. These are things with the current administration that's on a national level that we have to tap into to benefit our people. So I'm not certain that we will see lower costs, but if we are able to get more jobs and increase our economy, then our community, our people will have more residual income.
So I'll be remiss to we got to talk about the big W, which is WAPA. The business community and the residents are feeling the pain.
Absolutely.
What is your thoughts about WAPA and how we can make it better?
So WAPA is a task, and we're going to have to, all of us are going to have to touch and talk about how we really address the situation with WAPA. When I look at the challenges that we have with WAPA, we are at a place where how we generate our power, we really need to give serious consideration. We will give serious consideration to a public-private partnership on the power generation side of WAPA. We need to really look at how we are generating green energy. We've done some of that here, but it needs to be on a larger scale. We need to develop a strategic plan. In the first 100 days in our administration, we will require the Virgin Islands Water Authority to present a strategic plan to the people that has, low-hanging fruit and, 12 years out. But we have to be in a place where we are able to see what's happening. Right now, we hear a lot of what's going on with WAPA, but we really don't have a clear understanding of what the challenges are with WAPA. So developing a 100-day plan, establishing a relationship, a RFQ for public-private partnership, and definitely engaging more with green energy in the territory.
And if you don't, one more question, because I have to go to the cost. We got to go back to the cost. So one of the things that we hear from the business community and from other leaders is, number one is the way that we do gross receipts. If I remember correctly, the effective rate is somewhere north of 20%. Then we have excise taxes because we're outside of the custom zones. So they're saying that those two things are driving up the cost and continuously increasing. I know that you may not necessarily have the purview of changing every aspect of that. If you're elected governor, should we look into it? Or should we, just for example, should we start thinking about shifting towards sales tax, where there's a certain percentage that takes away the cost for the business community and then the stacking of costs on top of goods? Should we stay with gross receipt, or should we shift towards more a flat sales tax that our counterparts, even our neighbors of Puerto Rico, are currently using?
So I'll tell you this. One of the first things that I did, one of the first pieces of legislation that I passed when I became a senator in 2019 was the establishment of the Tax Study Commission. And the bill was passed. It went nowhere. When I become governor, we are going to bring back the Tax Study Commission because these questions need to be answered. And we can't answer them from an emotional perspective.
Exactly.
There must be the necessary assessment, the reviews, and the professionals the experts come back, the subject matter experts come back and tell us this is what will work for the Virgin Islands. So that's something that's, a lot of our small businesses, our businesses overall, feel that they're really feeling the pinch from gross receipt taxes, from the gross receipts. But do we know whether or not, if we move to a sales tax, what that will look like? So most definitely, establishing or reestablishing the Tax Study Commission is the way to go at this point in time.
Speaking about taxes, do you have any tax policy or tax initiatives for your administration that you're looking at? I don't want to try and just read what's on the billboards and give you a chance to talk about it.
Okay, so as far as when you say tax initiatives,
So
you're talking about
Go ahead.
you're talking about when we talk about reducing property taxes for
Yes.
seniors. So that's a tiered approach. That's a tiered approach. It depends on your income. My mother was 93 years. It depends on your income and your age. So it's a tiered approach. It's not across the board reducing taxes, property taxes overall for seniors. It's what's that tiered approach. We have many of our seniors who are making a decision as to whether to pay their property tax or whether to buy medication. So when we find we have seniors in that category, based on their income levels, that's something that we have to focus on. So that's what that's really about. But again, our focus has to be on the Tax Study Commission and really looking at how we are in fact taxing ourselves in the territory. But as far as new taxes, I don't know that we can focus on new taxes for our people before we are able to address the energy crisis that we have in this territory.
Yeah. Well, I want to shift away from economics.
You
Did you want to further engage with
Go
that?
ahead, you knock it up.
Okay, I think you should pull in another question about economics.
Are you ready for me?
No, go ahead, shift over.
Okay.
I really like this my
shift.
timing.
I've asked every individual who sat down with us about sexual violence. We could quantify now that sexual violence is not on our rise. It's just that we didn't have any data to show that it has been existing. And so with all the current things that are happening nationally with our name attached to it, and also there's a bill going through the legislation right now, mental health being at the forefront, but under the mental health, we know we will be addressing like sexual violence. What under your governorship, how would you address sexual violence from our youngest school-age person to our adult population?
So I actually passed legislation was called revenge porn. Are you familiar? And of course, we know what revenge porn is. And so it says that I am definitely not going to tolerate sexual violence in our community. There is again legislation, there is laws on the books that addresses sexual violence. What we have to do is ensure that those laws are being implemented. That's really what our issues are. I keep saying there's really nothing new under the sun when it comes to the laws that we have in the Virgin Islands. It's all about us, drilling down into our laws and implementing the laws. So sexual violence is definitely a no-no. And of course, most times when you think about sexual violence, you think about the male, but it's not only males that commit sexual violence. So it has to be equal across the board, whatever that punishment is. And I know there's legislation around the punishment for sexual violence. It's just about how our judicial branch is in fact dealing with those particular laws.
Thank you for sharing.
So I'd like to pivot to some of our more exposed and sensitive population. We have an aging population in the Virgin Islands. We're getting older, not younger. So sorry, everybody. We're getting older, not younger. Anything in particular in your administration in terms of senior protection, senior care, elderly care? Because what I'm hearing from members in the community is that I'm taking care of my mother and my children at the same time. Or I'm trying to deal with my father who has Alzheimer's while I'm still trying to finish my master's degree. So if we're having a growing issue within our aging population, does your administration have any specific initiatives, or like you said, nothing new, any more efficient execution of existing policies or resources?
Absolutely. I took care of my mom. That's one of the reasons why I left the legislature. My mother was aging, 92 years old. She since passed away in February, but I was a caretaker. So I understand, yes, the challenges of caretakers in the Virgin Islands. And if we are serious about taking care of our young people, we call them young people, right? Our senior citizens in the territory, one of the things that we definitely have to do is set aside subsidies to ensure that we are able to help families with caretaking in the territory. There was a time when I paid $5,500 per month and take care of my mom. And of course, those funds will run out. So those were her dollars that she had, her bank account. Those funds ran out. So we had to make a shift and make a different decision as to how we will take care of my mother. But I'm not alone. We're not alone in this. So our government needs to set a priority as we work on our budgets to ensure that we are able to set aside resources so we can provide caretaking services for our families here in the Virgin Islands. It says a whole lot about a city, a country, for the most part, a state, if they don't take care of their senior citizens. So that's a huge responsibility that I've lived it, I understand it. So it's very dear to me that once we submit a budget to the legislature, it will be inclusive of caretaking support services for our senior citizens.
No, I was going to say, I wanted to ask a question of the flip side of the equation, which is the young Virgin Islanders, the young adults. One of the things we hear is the negative sentiments of the younger generation. I feel like there's nothing for them. There's no opportunities, so they have to leave. And we have this massive brain drain that occurs every year as we in graduation season, and you see these young people go off to college and they may never come back. What would you do to address the young people? Because we know there's voter apathy, especially for that segment from the 18 to 25. How would you appeal to that part of the voting bloc?
So we have to make opportunities available for our young Virgin Islanders. And opportunities don't only mean jobs. It also means providing and ensuring that they have housing opportunities. Because young professionals, young people don't necessarily want to live with their parents. I mean, I don't want my kids to live with me after a certain age. So we have to prop them up from a small business perspective, because it's not always only about a young Virgin Islander coming to work for the government, but we have to create an environment where we are making space for them to open businesses. Our Economic Development Authority has resources, but we have to make sure that we are beating a drum on that, sharing that information. They need to know what's available to them. Of course, providing appropriate salaries. And again, the question is, how are we going to do that? The only way we could do that in an earnest way is by boosting our economy. So we're at a place where it is mission critical that we boost our economy if we're going to truly support our young Virgin Islanders. We have the EDC programs. We need to make sure that workforce development is not really only talked about, but we are very earnest about not sitting behind our desks and talking about we have millions of dollars available for workforce development training, but going and meeting young people where they're at, under the trees, under the tamarind trees, and saying, hey, we have a opportunity for you to be trained in accounting, in carpentry, in whatever that job is that you're interested in, but you have to go to them. We have to go to our young people and make them feel that they're part of this community and not shut them out. I've known many young Virgin Islanders that have, came home and they've left because we're not making opportunities for them. We're also making them feel that the only place that they can fit in is in our government.
Yeah.
And we have to move away from that. We want to see entrepreneurs. We want to see young Virgin Islanders opening their own businesses and really thriving. But again, when they open new businesses, we at the community, we have to support them. We have to support these businesses. So there's a lot of work to do around that. We have to make, like I said earlier, those opportunities available regarding housing opportunities. We have a lot of roadblocks around, you hear about these programs, buy a lot, build a home, and these different programs. But when our young Virgin Islanders go to fill out the applications, there's so many roadblocks. And when I ask the question, is this tied to a federal requirement? The answer is no. It is. We are placing these roadblocks ourselves, our very own people. We are placing those roadblocks in front of our applicants. So these are things that leaders have to lead, and we have to say we're going to move this away because we want our people to progress.
So I actually wanted to shift over to GVI, and I'm glad you referenced it. GVI is the largest employer in the territory.
Yes, it is.
And they're also the biggest spender if you look at an organization. But the culture of GVI over the last administration or so has been under some, I want to say this delicately,
Controversy.
controversy. Thank you. What would you do as you get into office to address the culture of GVI? Inefficiency, lots of waste in spending. From the outside looking in, GVI looks like a contractor's paradise or a contractor's hell, because you're either getting paid too much for too little or you're not getting paid on time or at all. And let's not talk about some of the arrests and indictments that have been going on the pipeline. So the culture of GVI needs an overhaul. What would be some of your initiatives or even just work style to kind of shore up some of that?
Let's start with accountability.
Okay.
I think accountability is out the gate. That's our first process, our first conversation. And we also need to talk about true transparency. Transparency is not so forthcoming. And at the end of the day, these are our dollars. These dollars belong to our people. And we have a responsibility as leaders to come back to our people with regards to transparency. So we have to conduct a financial health assessment of our Department of Finance and determine what are true challenges and why are we experiencing these challenges, and begin to chip away at how do we truly, put these challenges in various buckets to begin to address them. You have to have the will. This is not something that's going to happen overnight, but it can happen with the right leadership that's focused on addressing how we spend our dollars. The other thing is when we work on our budgets, all departments cannot continue to be created equal. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I've walked through this territory on this campaign trail, and we've heard from the people. And there are certain areas that require immediate attention. And when you look across budgets, and if you put all your resources all over, then you're really good at nothing. So what we have to do out the gate is set what our priorities are and pour our resources towards our priorities.
Well, what's the immediate? What's the immediates that people are telling you about? You care
So
to
our
share the
immediate
immediates?
priorities are, good question. So our immediate priorities are definitely, I'm looking at our healthcare.
Okay.
For me, we have some low-hanging fruits. Infrastructure. Let's just talk about infrastructure. And when I say that, the low-hanging infrastructure fruits, as I traverse the territory, I live here, right? And talk to people, is roads and lakes. There must be accountability systems around our roads and our lights. And all of us need to be a part of it. When you look at the state of Maryland, they have a system where if you pass Road 24E or whatever that is, you can pick up the phone or go into an app and say, hey, on this corner, whatever street, whatever, there's a light out.
Well, we've been doing it socially on
No, but
Facebook.
so these are things that we have to put in place if all of us are going to help to move the needle in the Virgin Islands. So roads and lakes are critical for us. So we have to channel our resources towards roads and lakes. That's one. The other thing is we have to channel our resources towards our healthcare system. We need to figure out, what is truly happening with our healthcare. And why are we having this high level of uncompensated care? There is this, I'm going to just use the word program for the lack of a better word right now, called temporary base. You guys familiar with temporary
Yes.
base? So there hasn't been a temporary base done in the island of District of St. Croix since the cardiac center was built in 1994-ish.
Yeah, that's all around that time.
Okay.
That's a while ago.
And in St. Thomas, a temporary base was not done since 1982, a year before I graduated from high school. So what temporary base is our reimbursement, how we are reimbursed from the federal government on our Medicaid and our Medicare funding that comes back to the territory. So right now, our minimum, you could look at this as our minimum wage, right? Our minimum wage for our healthcare that comes back as a reimbursement is 1994 and 1983 wages, 82 wages. So that's something right out the gate. That has to be an initiative that we get done immediately. And that's something that we have to do with our hospitals and our Department of Human Services. These are things that we have to get done. We can't keep talking about the need for healthcare services in the territory and giving a 10 million here and a 10 million there. Let's put in a Band-Aid. We have to remove ourselves from the Band-Aids and really get to, the action, how we truly get work done in the Virgin Islands. So those two areas. And of course, we talked about energy earlier. And I shared with you that out the gate, we want to see a 100-day strategic plan and a 100-day putting out an RF request for qualification on the power grid side of WAPA to get our challenges with the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority, our power systems moving. So there's a lot of work to do. And, governors a lot of times, most times, and all of us are guilty of it, we look at governors as super people. So we create that environment in the office of the governor because we don't hold our elected leaders accountable. We have to set the path and we have to determine as a people, as Virgin Islanders, what we want to see, and we have to apply the pressure, and we have to hold our own selves accountable. So as leaders, I have to hold myself accountable to my people. I came to the people and I said, I want to be elected as your 10th elected governor of the Virgin Islands. And then you say yes. And if you say yes, then there are things that you want to see that we, leaders, us, leaders in the territory, we have to stay true to it. So it's not about us complaining, it's about us going back to our people and having regular conversations about what are we doing and how are we doing it and how can you help? All of us should have a voice.
Speaking about that voice, after your first 100 days, what would be the things you'd want the community to hold you accountable on? Are there any metrics, any deliverables? You're a no-nonsense numbers person.
Yes.
So what would you say to the community? Hold me and my administration accountable to these 2-3 things in our first 100 days, in our first year, in our first term.
How we begin to manage our financials, how we begin to address our challenges with our infrastructure, our low-hanging fruit infrastructure, and definitely the work that we're doing to jumpstart our economy.
Right there. Unfortunately, once again, we always run out of time. Shalana and Daren, I give you guys 1 minute for your closing question or statements.
I just wanted to know a little bit more about diversification because we know that we're going into 75 years. I keep saying it. It's going to be dramatically changed. And so industry may have worked for us in the past. What other diversifications, like we have orange economies, blue economies, do you have any ideas that you would like to share about 22nd century economics that we have to prepare ourselves
marine
for?
industry.
Yeah.
I think St. Croix again has a unique opportunity to be a major part of the marine industry, the blue economy. You have so much vast, and we didn't talk about agriculture.
No, we didn't.
That's a big part.
Oh, man.
We didn't talk
We
about
talked about green. We did say green, but we didn't say like
talk about
agriculture per se.
So just let me share with you,
Yeah.
because I'm the prime sponsor of the agriculture plan, and there are 8 mandates around that plan.
8.
And 8 mandates around that plan. And it's time for us to put our money where our mouth is around agriculture in the territory.
We love hearing that.
There must be food security and food sustainability here. Nothing prevents us from being great at that, but we have to get serious and have the will to make it happen. So the blue economy for me is also critical and important. We are surrounded by water. We should be leading in the blue economy in the Caribbean.
But in
because we are
what
US
ways?
centric.
Because blue economy means different things to different people.
Okay, so for me, I'll tell you one
Some
of the
people think blue economy
ideas.
is extraction.
One of the blue economy ideas that I have,
Right.
and it's something that has been talked about, but we really need to implement it. Where, as when the yachts come in during the winter season, the yachts we could build a yacht yard right here in the Virgin Islands, in St. Croix, in St. Thomas. You bring down so whereas the yachts come down on a big the big boats,
Okay.
they drop the yacht off. They come down on the yacht
Private
riders
planes.
come down on their private planes, and they go out. We provide the provisioning here in the territory. When there's a hurricane coming, they park their yachts in the yacht yard, and they can go back to America. But these are some of the things that we need to take advantage of in the Virgin Islands, and we have a unique opportunity to do it. It's going to require us now to definitely engage in partnerships with other concern. We do have some HUD dollars that we receive as a result of the storms of 2017. Not sure what will be left when the new administration comes in, but definitely conducting an assessment to determine what resources are still available for us to jumpstart our economy.
Daren, last flush.
I was say let's dive back into agriculture. 98% of our food is imported, right?
Yes.
What would you do to address that? And also, because of recent issues that came up with shipment out of from Puerto Rico to the Virgin Islands, what would you do to steward that, reduce the amount of food that we import, and how would you support the agriculture industry, being like the Department of Agriculture has one of the lowest, if not the lowest budget? What would you do to address those 3 things?
Definitely support our farmers and fishers.
That's
Farmers
African
and fishers. Yes, definitely to support us farmers and fishers by providing resources. We are at a place where, when I looked at, the border farmers, they have areas where they want to develop, where they want to have a particular product that they want to produce. Let's do it. Let's encourage it and let's make it happen. You don't have to believe in all of, everybody's ideas, but it's all about how do we give people a chance. We are at a place where we have to take the risk. We are at the risk-taking point in the Virgin Islands where we need to give our farmers a real chance. Look at the St. Croix district. The agricultural land is vast. Look at the agriculture state plan and look at the areas where we can truly, in fact, implement. It's going to require money. It's going to require funding. Make a commitment to set aside the resources to make it happen. So it's not about the Department of Agriculture and the funding. It's truly how we provide those funding and those supports to our farmers in the Virgin Islands. And of course, we're not going to forget our opportunities to receive federal funds, the applications for federal funds, providing that support. We have 2 business centers now in each district around agriculture, the agriculture business centers that was born out of the agriculture state plan. That's one of the 8 mandates.
Okay.
So stand up the business centers in a real way and provide the necessary funding to support them.
Well, that's it. Thank you once again. Our time has just melted. Before we go, would you like to talk to the community, tell them anything directly? Like I said, you could speak to them, they're listening.
Okay, well, the question is always, why are you running for governor? And I, Donna Frett-Gregory, I'm actually running for governor with Mr. Rodney Moorhead. I am running for governor because I care, and I strongly believe that the U.S. Virgin Islands is in a place where we need bold and principled leadership, and I am that person.
Awesome. Thank you once again to my co-host, to Feather Leaf Inn for hosting this, Donna Frett-Gregory, for joining us with her time. Please continue to ask her and her running mate all the questions that you can as we get into the election cycle. They are here to be interrogated, so see them, ask some questions. Stay tuned for more interviews from Dialogue 340. We out.